I always think of waking up almost like a daily engine startup sequence.
Oh, yeah, that makes total sense.
Right. So I have to ask you, the listener, is your morning a slow, sputtering warm-up or, a finely tuned quick ignition?
That is the big question.
Welcome to today's deep dive.
Hmm.
We are looking at this really fascinating dialogue between two people, Ashu and Deepali. They have vastly different approaches to starting their days.
Completely different ends of the spectrum, really.
Exactly.
Mm.
And our mission today is to mine their habits and, well, extract the biological and psychological strategies that you can use to optimize your own morning ignition sequence.
Yeah, and if we're looking at that ignition, I mean, Ashu is practically jump-starting the battery.
He really is.
He's up at 6 a.m., and he immediately goes out for a short walk. Whereas Deepali, on the other hand, she hits a 7 a.m. alarm and explicitly says she cannot function, like, at all until she makes her morning tea.
I read that and immediately wondered, is a 6 a.m. brisk walk actually biologically ideal for the average person?
It sounds a bit intense, right?
Right, because if our natural cortisol levels don't typically peak until a bit later in the morning, isn't jumping straight into exercise just, I don't know, stressing the system unnecessarily before it's actually ready?
Well, it depends on how you look at it.
Because I almost lean toward Deepali's top tip here as a much better on-ramp. She drinks a large glass of water the absolute second she wakes up, way before having a single drop of caffeine.
Yeah, and your point about Deepali's hydration tip is crucial. It really just comes down to basic
We
hemodynamics.
about dynamics.
Right, so when you wake up, your body has basically been fasting from fluids for, what, 7 or 8 hours?
Yep, easily.
So your blood volume actually drops. Drinking water immediately increases that blood volume, which then restores optimal oxygen flow directly to your brain.
Oh, wow. So it's literally turning the lights on in your prefrontal cortex.
Exactly. But to be fair to Ashu, his early walk actually leverages the circadian rhythm perfectly, too.
Wait, really? How so?
Because that immediate light exposure you get outside, it signals the brain to halt melatonin production. Building that early rising habit is hard at first, but biologically, it eventually feels completely normal.
That makes sense. And that hydration and light exposure completely changes how you process fuel, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like we see Ashu eating eggs and toast, while Deepali opts for toast and fruit. And it's not just a preference. It's a stark difference in their glycemic trajectory.
Yeah, one is definitely setting up for a crash.
Right. Ashu is loading up on protein and fats alongside complex carbs. That gives him this nice, slow, sustained release of glucose.
Which is what you want.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
But Deepali's toast and fruit combination is heavily fructose and simple carbs, meaning a rapid spike in blood sugar followed by, an inevitable crash by mid-morning.
And the thing is, that physical glucose crash almost always mirrors a cognitive crash.
Oh, absolutely it does.
Which brings us to the biggest pitfall they discuss, which is directing the mind. If your brain is properly oxygenated from that morning water and your blood sugar is stable, you actually have the executive function required to plan your day.
Instead of just wildly reacting to it.
Precisely. Ashu leverages this state by writing down a simple list of 3 to 4 goals right away.
Which is such a smart move.
It is. Deepali even admits she struggles with forgetting things, but her immediate morning habit undermines her focus completely. She checks her phone the literal second she opens her eyes.
Ugh, yeah. Checking your phone in bed is basically taking your daily, finite cognitive budget and blowing it all on scratch-off lottery tickets.
That is a great analogy.
I mean, it's just social media, emails, random texts, and instead of investing it in a diversified portfolio, like a shoe's 3 to 4 item agenda, you're giving away your peak mental capital to external demands before you've even stretched.
And if we look at the neurobiology of why that feels so draining, it's fascinating. The first 30 to 45 minutes after waking up is this critical window called the cortisol awakening response.
The cortisol awakening response.
Okay, right. Your brain is highly plastic during this time. It's essentially setting its stress baseline for the next 12 hours.
Wow, so checking your phone.
You're flooding that window with notifications and demands. You are chemically training your brain to be in a state of high alert, defensive anxiety.
Which is why Ashu's ultimate fix for Deepali is so brilliant. He tells her to charge the phone in another room and step outside for fresh air first thing.
Yes, that physical boundary prevents external stimuli from hijacking that vulnerable cortisol window.
So if we look at the toolkit we're extracting here, it is deeply biological. Hydrate immediately to restore blood volume and oxygenate the brain.
Definitely.
Step outside to use light to shut off melatonin. Prioritize a sustained energy breakfast to avoid that glycemic roller coaster. Banish the phone to protect your cortisol baseline, and write down a few simple goals to lock in your focus.
Doing all that, it completely shifts you from playing defense to playing offense.
Yeah.
You are dictating the biochemical and psychological terms of your day well before the world can dictate them to you.
Exactly. So here is something for you to think about. If the way you spend your first hour ultimately dictates the trajectory of your next 15, what is the single most defining habit of your morning right now?
It's a tough question to answer,
So
honestly.
it is.
Yeah.
And is that habit a deliberate engineered choice you made or just a biological compulsion you fell into?